Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hometown Cable. Our program is called What's Going On Here. I'm Bob Venn, Calvin Castine with the camera, and another Sunday, another show. We've had such good reception on our stories, two of them so far, on the Bootleggers, our men from up in northern New York, that we've decided to maybe follow that up a little bit with the newest thing in the northern tier, Bootleggers Pub and Brewery. We're going to find out if they know any of our bootleggers, and maybe we'll find out some more names. We're down at the Comfort Inn in Plattsburgh on Cornelia Street, Route 3, right next to where everything is happening. And this is an old vehicle parked here in the yard, and we're going to talk to a man who's the manager of the Comfort Inn, I think, the hotel. Franz, you want to come over here? Franz Pope is your name?
Yes, sir.
General manager. Right. General manager of the inn?
Comfort Inn, right.
Comfort Inn, so the hotel, everything else?
Hotel and most of the complex. The restaurant is a separate entity.
Okay, so it's a separate entity?
Belonging to the property, but separate as far as management.
Okay, the restaurant now that was formerly had, what was the name before?
Used to be Maxwell's.
Maxwell's is now called the Bootleggers.
Bootleggers Pub and Brewery and Restaurant.
And you don't only come here for a drink or food, you come here to look at the atmosphere. And my gosh, have you got a lot of things inside.
Well, we have a family entertainment center that complements the property and the restaurant. And,
okay.
And there's a lot of fun to be had.
Okay, we're going to tour it. But first of all, I was told by Jim Murray that you know something about this vehicle. Where did this come from and how did it get here?
This came from a gentleman in Warrensburg. It's a 1918 Model T Ford. It's a huckster's truck. And he pretty well restored it before we got it. It's an operational vehicle, and we've just sort of adapted it to our 1920s theme.
Now, the sides aren't missing. This is the way it was, right?
Exactly the way it was.
Remember, a buggy didn't have any top and sides to it either, really. So this is and the barrels, of course, are here for atmosphere. This must be new wood.
It's
right?
the original pickup truck is what it is.
The truck is original, but the
wood has been restored.
The wood has been restored on here, and look at the dash on this. Now that won't confuse you at all. You have nothing to look at to confuse you. All right, the foot pedals. You got just remember, it looks like you're playing an organ when you look at all those foot pedals down there. And this is the brake, of course. And John Southwick was here. Dr. John could tell us a little bit more. Look at the width of these tires, about 3 inches across, I guess. But you got to remember, 1918 was wartime, and also, vehicles were probably in existence for about 15, 16 years, huh?
Right.
I think 1901 was it was just coming.
It was shortly after this the Ford came out with the Model A, and that's much more similar to today's vehicle. This is still pretty unusual in that the pedals on the floor do a lot more than you would. They're not just gas. The gas is actually the accelerator is actually on the steering column.
Right here, on the other side.
Spark, the other side.
The other side. This is the spark.
That's spark. The other side is your throttle.
Okay.
And the pedals on the floor are primarily for gear changes and one brake.
So how did you happen to find out about the vehicle?
A gentleman has been working with us here quite a lot, Alex Rada, as far as the property is concerned. Found the vehicle through a friend of his in Warrensburg, alerted us to it, and we took a ride down. Said, certainly this is for us.
Yep.
And we brought her home.
Not only here, but it must be a great background for pictures for weddings, huh?
I think it's been used once or twice for that. It's been here about 8 weeks now, I think, maybe a little longer.
Uh-huh.
And I see people sitting in it all the time taking family pictures. So
okay.
I'm sure it's been used for a wedding.
Okay. If this were yesterday, we'd stay out here longer, but it's not. The temperature's around 40. We're going to go inside. We'll carry on. Please stay with us. This is going to be a show with a lot of pictures, a lot of things you haven't seen for years or may have never seen. And we really don't know what we're going to see inside, but there's some very interesting things. We'll be back. Okay, you're looking out the window on busy Cornelia Street, 1996. You come through these two doors, and within 150 feet here, you're going to go back to the 1920s and see all types of things that have happened then, and you're going into a different world. But we're still in 1996 in the lobby here or whatever, and we're going to talk to a man by the name of?
Mike O'Connor.
Mike O'Connor?
Yep.
O'Connor. And Mike, where are you from?
From Chattagate originally, and I moved to Plattsburgh 6 years ago.
Go to school in Chattagay?
I did, yes.
So you knew Adrian Wood
Yes,
that
I did.
we just recently lost,
That's
and we were
right.
talking about him a minute here.
Yeah.
He was your principal
Yes, he
back
was.
then, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Okay. How did you get to work here at the Comfort Inn
Well,
complex?
I started off 6 years ago at the front desk, worked my way up to front desk manager, assistant hotel manager, and then moved over to Bootleggers and took over the complex up here, which was formerly Maxwell's.
Okay. How long has Bootleggers been as such?
We opened up Bootleggers December 22nd, just about a year ago.
Okay. And as we come in from the hotel in that direction or from outdoors right here, we see what looks like a carnival or a playland. What's this all about?
This is the start of our Family Fun Center. Right here we have a kids soft play where kids can go in and ball crawl, tubes and tunnels, an air mat they can jump into. We also have downstairs a kids video arcade.
You want to move over
Sure,
here to me?
sure.
Yep. Okay, so now it says right here, $250 per child, please pay. And how long do they have?
They have about an hour.
An hour here. And while you could be somewhere else in the building and
Sure.
leave your kids here.
Sure.
You can watch them for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
12 and under must have adult supervision.
Mm-hmm.
You mean you could go in here if you're over 12 also?
You can, yes. Yeah.
Okay. So you can crawl through the tunnels, or
Yeah.
you can play with that.
You can crawl through the tunnels. It goes down another level.
It
and
does.
There's some more things you can play on down in there, and then you can come on back up and have as much fun as you like.
Is this used a lot?
Oh yes, very popular.
Birthday parties or
Birthday
anything like that?
parties.
You have
yeah.
that too?
Yes, we do. We have birthday parties that include the pool with the 70-foot water slide. We also have, they can do the soft play here. They can play laser tag, which is down below, and they can also do some
Laser tag?
Laser tag. Yeah, and they can also.
We can see that maybe in a minute?
We'll see that in a few
Okay.
minutes. Yeah.
All right, then tell us what else you got here.
Well, over here, if you keep going, is
Okay.
the start of our redemption area.
Redemption.
Yeah.
Okay.
What we do is we have some games downstairs in this area, and the kids play it and they win tickets. They come up here and these prizes have ticket values, and depending on how many tickets they win, is the prize that they of their choice. Yeah.
Now they can build up to the bigger prizes
Sure.
and everything else,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. They can save their tickets for a later time. We have like a credit card system for kids where they get they can redeem their tickets later and the values increase.
Okay. We can go,
Yeah.
can we go down and see
Sure.
these down here?
Yeah.
We go down about 6 or 7 steps. What was here before?
This used to be the old bar.
The old bar.
Yeah, Maxwell's old bar.
Okay.
This is where the
Oh, that's the other level for the crawling and so forth.
kind of loud down here.
I imagine after an hour in there, they're ready to come out.
Yes.
And so they got plenty of time.
Yeah.
Okay, this is your, all right.
This is the redemption center or the redemption game room. We've got some video arcade games and we've got some redemption games. The kids play these games and they win tickets so they can go up and redeem some prizes.
You have to be a certain age to play these?
No, you don't.
Don't. Okay.
Any age.
Any age, huh?
There's a few big kids like us that still like to play.
They still do, but a 7-year-old, it's perfectly okay for them to play everything else.
And everything. We've got some games. I'm down at the farther end for really young kids, 4 to 5-year-olds. They'll enjoy that. And likewise, we've got some video games for the older kids.
Okay. We don't want to surprise the parents too much. So what's it cost them to play these various games?
Look, it's a token. It's 25 cents.
Okay, so they buy tokens and they can use them in anything.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Would you like to play a game?
Well, guess so. What are we going to play?
We can play anything you like. How about Cyclone right here?
Okay, you're going to play it?
Sure, you can play it.
What am I
played
going to do?
before. Put a token in, and you try to time that thing in the jackpot.
Did I
to stop that light.
right there, you mean? Oh,
Yeah, you missed it by 1, but you win 10
but I
tickets.
still won tickets?
Yeah, so you can play it again.
It doesn't work right. That's, oh,
Oh,
did I get it?
no, you stopped it early.
But you're still putting in quarters.
Sure, so you can
Each
play.
one is one quarter. Oh, I can go through with my dollar very quickly here.
You got 7 that time.
It's hard to do it with a mic in my hand. That's got to be why. Look at my tickets here. How much have I spent so far?
You spent $1.
Are these each worth 1? Oh, you can really keep going. Dick Letourneau would love this. He loves to build up toward bigger prizes. Let's see you hit that right now. Did you win?
I got 8 that time.
Those are each worth 1?
They're each worth 1. Yeah.
Okay.
So I got 8 that time. I got 8 again.
Got 8 again.
And as you play, the jackpot gets bigger.
Oh, so the jackpot is worth 57.
57 now. If I miss, it'll be worth 58. There, see?
I've done pretty well compared to. Okay. So you could go through some money here quickly, but it's fun. The other games
Win it back upstairs.
You win it back up there. Okay. Okay, we're going to go see what I can get for my tickets up here, too. Because he didn't say he's going to... I'm going to turn these in right upstairs. We'll find out how this is done. So have you ever seen this completely filled with people?
Full.
Completely
yeah.
full?
On the weekends. Yeah.
Okay. So is this a party group or they just come in to play?
No, they come in with their parents. We have a hotel and the kids like to come down and play. We also do pool party packages, and you can buy some tickets for the kids to come down and play. And,
Going pretty good so far.
Yes, it is.
Well received.
Yep.
Okay. I'm not going to... is there anything like this in northern New York anywhere
Nothing
else?
like this.
Nothing like this, huh? If you want to do it, this is the place to come. We're at Bootleggers. We're going to go back. There's another man right here that's watching and see. Let's find out who this other man is. See if he wants to play the game or your name.
Jim Murray.
Jim Murray. We talked to you when we were here before to see the, what do we call your, the what? The health club.
Yeah.
Right. We were here, did a program. Your title again?
I'm one of the owners here.
You're one of the owners.
Yep.
Look what I'm going to take away from you right here. Yeah.
You're going to go home a rich man.
I'm going to go home a rich man here. Jim, where are you from and how did you get here?
I'm from Plattsburgh. I've lived in Plattsburgh all my life. Grew up with Terry Miron, and 2 childhood friends are here together in this venture.
So you and he run the Comfort Inn and Bootleggers.
That's correct.
You own this here. Any other operations like this you own in the area?
No, this is it. This
is it
keeps
right
us
here?
busy enough.
Yeah, I'm sure it does, huh? I don't know if we're coming through pretty good. I think we are. How'd you get the idea of Bootleggers?
Well, basically, the idea came from Terry. Looking around throughout the country, one of the hot things is brew pubs and brewing your own beer. So we decided to do that and named it Bootleggers after, what went on over in this part of the country in the 20s. Terry also had the idea for the Family Fun Center. He had visited a place in, I think, Philadelphia and also Dallas called Dave & Buster's. And it's an entertainment center very similar to this that's located in a restaurant setting. And it was very successful in those cities, and we adopted that concept here.
Okay, we're going to see the brewery and how they make the beer. We're going to see the bar. We're going to see the restaurant. We're doing the recreation area first because Mike's got to take off very shortly, correct? Yes. So we'll go back upstairs and do some more. We'll be back to you in a few moments, Jim. This is the way it's done right here, folks. He's going to show us how to count these tickets. They're going to eat them right up here. And I'll get my $1,000 worth of prizes here very shortly. And then I suppose they're going to say, what I get is blue, they're going to want the money for all those tokens that I use downstairs. Receipts must be for 50 tickets or more. Well, I don't have 50, I don't think.
We'll give you a receipt so you can come back and play next time.
Oh.
Go ahead and feed them in
You
there.
put them right in there like that?
Putting it in there like that.
Hey, how did I win 50 exactly? You had this set up for me.
You saw it?
Right? Exactly 50. It's what you need for a receipt. Look at that.
Do you want to redeem something today, or do you want to get a receipt and bring it back the next time you come in?
What is Hometown Cable?
Today,
well, we want something today, yes.
Something today.
We want something today. All right. If I spend it all here, I'm going to have to go down and win some more. Look at that. All right, we'll take a keychain.
Do you have anything that's exactly 50?
Yeah, these magnetic games are exactly 50.
All right, take a magnetic game.
Okay.
Give me something you want to move. What are you doing now? What did you do?
I counted your tickets.
Oh,
and,
I thought you were going to make it a non-winner. So now you put it against there, and
Yeah, and that tells.
And I'm wiped out.
How many tickets you have, and it wipes it out.
there I am. I got this. Now you can come in, tell me with Hometown Cable, he'll take you through the same thing, put the tokens in for you, and give you a chance to win 50.
Bring your own camera.
Unlikely. Bring your own camera, right? And make sure you give them a little bit of time here. Bootleggers.
Yep.
So you've got big prizes like $470.
Yeah, we've got bigger prizes. We've got some remote control cars that are worth 6,000 tickets.
6,000.
Yep. We're gonna get some TVs in, some VCRs, stereos, for some really expensive prices.
I'm telling you, this is tailor-made for Dick Letourneau. He loves this building up tickets, and you win it some more so you can build up, and everybody's a winner that way.
That's right.
Is this something that they do at some of the other places, or is this an innovation? Is it the same type of thing, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
So who buys this merchandise? Are you responsible for buying and
I
make
buy
sure?
the merchandise and display it, and kids
Okay.
can win it.
And with your scheme of things, I would assume that this would probably cost you twice as much as a 25 ticket type of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the way you set it up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll move along. Come on out of there.
We're gonna see laser tag now.
Okay, we're going to go see laser tag, and maybe I'll get enough to win the frog. But I don't want any frog that's deformed. As you know, frogs have become deformed now, right? There's something in the air. Don't change your channel. We're in a very, very dark room with these are, what do you call them, black lights?
Fluorescent lights and black
Fluorescent
lights.
and black lights, because this is laser tag, and we don't know what you're seeing, but you're seeing as much as we are. Now, you're going to put on a vest of some kind?
Yeah. This is a laser tag vest. This is a green vest. We have a green team and a red team. They play against each other. This is a multi-leveled mazed arena where there are two bases, a green base and a red base.
Right.
It'd be my job as the green team to go attack the red base, and the same hand defend my own base.
So this is all, it's a battery control that you have on here?
Battery controlled. They shoot lasers at each other, and
You have the laser right there?
Yeah.
That's it right there?
well, it comes out of the end here.
Right.
Dan here is he's got our red pack on. And we
Okay.
are the opponents.
All
We
right.
have teams of 5 on each team. That
So
can
how
play at a
much
time.
room have you got here? You got all kinds of little panels.
All
and
kinds of little panels and ramps.
Like
and
a
different
maze.
levels. Yeah. Yeah.
And how does this, you pay to come in here,
Pay to come in here. You get 10 minutes worth of play.
Okay.
It's $2.50 a person.
so many shots and then you're out of shot?
No, unlimited shots, and you can be deactivated unlimited amount of times.
What do
It's
you
a
mean by
points-
being deactivated? When they hit you, one of those things go out?
Yeah. If I were to shoot Dan and hit him, his pack would vibrate. It would light up. It would make a noise, and he would not be able to shoot back for about 10 seconds.
Okay. Will his eyes light up and bulge and
No,
things like
they
that?
won't do that.
None of that, huh?
No.
None of that. He can't shoot back for 10 seconds?
No.
Because why? It deactivates,
Deactivates his gun.
His
and-
gun.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, show us what you're going to do. Just show
Yeah.
us a shot right here
Well, Dan, you
before
have-
you run away from each other.
He's going to go get the thing to turn us on. We're not on
Okay,
right now.
you're not on right now. It seems cloudy in here. I'm going to have fun when I get out.
Yeah, there's a fog machine that we have on that illuminates the
Oh,
laser a little bit better.
okay.
We play some music, so it's high energy.
Okay.
And it's a lot of fun. There, we're on now. As you
Okay.
can see, there's a display that tells you what you're able to do and how much time you have left.
Okay, that up faces you, yes.
Faces me so I can see it.
Okay.
We've got about 2 seconds. There we go. And I'm going to shoot Dan.
Okay, you hit. Now, where do you have to aim? At his panel?
You can be shot in the chest, the back, the shoulders up here, or
Wherever
the
there's a light?
Wherever there's a light, you can be shot.
Okay.
You can be deactivated.
Yep. And then it deactivates that one spot, or does it activate again?
It deactivates the whole pack.
Okay, then it comes back,
Then it
back
comes
in
back
10
on
seconds.
in 10 seconds. Yep. He just shot me. Lets me know that I've been shot by a red team. I have 10 seconds. I got shot in the chest. I have 4 seconds until I'm active again.
Okay.
So I can't play for another
You
5
can't.
seconds.
You keep running and doing. Okay, now you're back on.
Yeah, now I go find a place to hide.
Okay. You can't hide very well with all those lights flashing, but you can get behind something, huh?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, go do something. And there's
Okay, right this way.
okay, there's a ramp up here.
Yeah, well over here I'm going to go attack Dan's base.
His base?
Yeah, he's got a home base over here.
Good gosh, look at all this. Oh, you're following him up? Okay, wait, there's all kinds of...
I'm going over here to attack his base.
His base.
Yeah. For this I get 2,000 points.
Okay. But he would normally have somebody here protecting
You
the
would
base.
have somebody here to defend the base.
Okay, how did you know his base was here?
You have to find it.
Oh, all right. You
I've played before.
You played before. All right.
Guys in special ed,
Well, once you destroy the base, the strobe light goes off. The base is ready to be destroyed again, and these two lights right here let me know that it's the red base station.
Okay.
And I just have to shoot that 3 times in order to destroy it.
It says right here, base station red Omega.
Yeah.
Omega right here. And he's looking for yours at the same time?
Yes, he is.
Now there's something up there. Do you shoot that at all? Or that?
Those are just windows to shoot through, so you can defend your base.
There's a lot of space here. Has this been well received, used
Yes,
a lot?
it has.
Huh?
It's been used pretty much. We also sell these in the birthday parties.
Okay, what age group would you say this is, older or younger?
I would think around 12 to
12.
15 or older.
Like this in here, huh? Okay, you can shoot him anytime you want. It's okay. Did you find his base
He
station?
usually shoots me first.
He usually, huh? Okay. And what is your name, Don?
Dan.
Dan, where are you from?
Plattsburgh.
Born here in Plattsburgh?
No, originally from Arkansas.
Arkansas. What's your last name?
Minor.
Miner. One of the miners from Arkansas.
Yeah.
You ever hear of a guy named Clinton?
Yeah, well.
Yeah?
We don't admit that.
He's not, well, you don't admit that? All right. So you can be in here, 10 minutes goes by pretty quick, I imagine.
Actually, it doesn't go by as fast as you think.
Is that right?
It's a long time in here. You're running around and you're...
And there's 10 people in here. That's
10
a lot of
in
people
here.
running
Yes.
around.
Yeah, as many as 10 people. You can have as few as 2. It's as long as you have an opponent, you can come down and play.
Okay, you said points. You get points for shooting these two?
You get points for shooting somebody in the chest, the back, the shoulders, or
Okay.
the laser.
What do you do with the points? Do
well-
like I just did, cash them in?
No, at the end of the game, you go up to see which team won.
Yes.
And it's individual points so that you know who was the best person on your team, who was the
Okay.
high scorer.
Have you ever played where you have not been the best? You know everything in here.
Well, I have. Someone's
Huh?
beat me before.
They have
Yeah.
beat you?
Not very often,
Was
but it's
his name
happened.
Murray at all? Jim Murray ever beat you?
No, it was never Jim.
Never Jim couldn't beat you here? All right, guys, what else do we... So this is strictly...
Just a window so you can
Okay.
shoot through. Yeah.
You can shoot through the window at somebody behind it.
Yes.
Okay. This is called the
This is called laser tag.
laser tag here at the Bootleggers. Something I've never seen before. Is this fashioned after some other place where you, or is this just ideas as you went, Jim?
There's a few companies that make this type of equipment. It's all computerized, as Mike was referring to. You get the printouts at the end to see who scored the points and which team won. Kind of delicate equipment, but Dan keeps it going pretty good, and it makes for a real exciting 10 minutes when you've got 8 or 10 people in here
Yeah,
running around
I'll
trying
bet.
to hide.
Everybody keeping quiet?
Yes,
Or everybody
trying to
yelling?
No, well, there's a little bit of both. Some people are get a little too excited and run around and scream, and other people just want to be quiet and hide and shoot people.
Females like it in here too?
Oh, they do.
They
Yeah.
do, huh? That's your 10 minutes up?
That means our game is over.
Our game is up, and so are we. We're going to take right off and go out where there's more light. Thank you for watching Hometown Cable. If you wonder where are we in the dark, you want to believe it. But we're getting more and more information, and that will bring us into the light. We're talking with Dan, Mike, and Jim in the laser tag room. Hometown Cable, what's going on here?
Well, look, just like you're skiing, you got to follow what you see on the screen. Michael said
And how do I move?
Well, you just slide back and forth just like a regular skiing.
And that'll loosen up after the game starts.
Okay, you're getting ready to ski here.
And we're on the Alpine Racer.
That's right.
Okay.
It's a virtual reality ski game. And you got to stay away from those walls.
Oh, I'm hitting the walls here.
Yeah.
I just flipped. Are you
You'll
on
change your angle so you see where you're going a little bit better.
Okay, whoa, come back. How do I didn't do well there, folks. So the hands, I don't do anything with the hands.
No, you just slide back and forth with your feet.
I think there's a wall coming here. I'll tell you, it reminds me of the time the guy from Austria went down in the Olympics of 1980, I think. Oh, no, he's going to jump. First time ever.
Right through the trees.
Ooh. You can feel that one. Now this is Alpine, would you call this?
Alpine Racer.
Oh, I have to start much earlier, I take
Yeah,
it.
yeah. You're hitting every wall on the way down.
Well, I just want to see what it feels like to these guys. Second trip down is easier,
Yes, it is much easier.
unless they change the screen. Unbelievable. For anybody who's laughing, don't say anything until you try it yourself. That was a minute and 30 seconds.
Yes. Yep.
That's amazing how fast. Well, what do I do here? Where am I?
You didn't rank.
I didn't rank. I was kind of rank on it, I'll tell you that, huh?
You weren't very good.
Gosh, I thought I wasn't bad, but I wasn't very good.
Okay, you weren't bad.
I was. It was terrible, huh?
Pretty close.
So you've got to start to turn much earlier than I was doing.
Yes.
And that when you see you're heading for the wall, it's got to be long before that,
Yeah.
huh? You do well on that too,
I
do
do
you?
all right.
You
Yeah.
do all right on that too.
I have time to practice.
Sure, you come here at night, I suppose, when no one else is around.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of pictures and a lot of things on the wall here, folks, that when you come here, that have nothing to do with the games, except they are old games, and they've gone to a lot of effort to get these things.
Yes, they have.
Right?
Yep. We hired a guy named Alex. We traveled the East Coast to get a lot of this, these antiques for us.
Yeah, look at some of this memorabilia. You know, everything. We had those back in the 30s and 40s, the little marble game that you'd shoot, and the home pinball game, and there's another one over there. And then I forget what that's called in the middle of the round. There's another one of the pinball games, 3 of them there. Some of the old pictures of Babe Ruth and the, looks like General Jim Corbett from here, I'm not sure. The TVs are going, are these actual TV programs?
Oh, yeah. No, they're actual TV. Yeah. Yeah, this is the more the adult game room with the pool tables, the air hockey. Some of more of the adult virtual reality games.
Right.
And we also have a basketball court in here that gets quite a bit of use, and the golf simulator as well.
Okay, one more thing while we're at it here. Look at these boards over here. You got the old tennis racket, the old roller skates that used to clamp onto your shoes, and you had a key from the side that would tighten it. A real old tennis racket with a wooden handle. Bart Forbes, I don't remember him. The old croquet. And look at this mallet with the croquet. Got I beg your pardon, that's a ball on the end. Croquet set. Forget what those were called, but we have one of those at home, not quite so old. I think they played 30 different games. Very, very interesting, very intriguing. If you came here and did nothing, they don't want you to do that, but if you came nothing but just walked around, you'd have a good time, right?
We tried to make the place as visually appealing as possible.
Okay.
Everything from old magazine covers that people enjoy reading.
I'm looking right over there at an old Look magazine. I collect Look magazines. It's out of existence now. That's December 20th, 1938. Joan Blondell, she was a movie star. How Motherhood Improved My Figure. Joe Louis, his wife, his brains, his pet, the world champion boxer. An old checkerboard. Just very interesting. If you like old things, like Calvin and I, or Orville Trombley and I, then you like to come and look at some of the old things we used to like. There's that same, is that not a Parcheesi? I forget what that's called, that game board. There's 3 different ones here. Very, very unusual. Are you still getting things to put up, or are you pretty well finished?
I think we're going to keep adding things and changing the decor, but always keeping the same theme.
Yeah, well, you could always get another magazine and just change the frame, right?
Yeah, we like this one because of the caption on top.
Capone. Why Capone may soon rule Chicago, of course. And then the old whiskey. But it's amazing the things that I have seen on the wall so far. Really is.
We can show you a few more.
We're going to see them. Okay. Just a second. We're going to look at Quick Draw. Jim Murray's going to show us Quick Draw.
This is called Fast Draw.
Fast Draw, okay.
What this is Jim here is going to have to draw.
Oh, you can't pull it until you see somebody.
No, it's in his hole, so he's going to have to draw against this Indian guy right here. See if you can't get
Pull early.
Get before he gets him.
Well, Jim did go down. I guess he won that one, yeah.
Jim won that one.
Yeah,
He was 1:57 seconds. I was .79 seconds.
He didn't know he was going to be against Jim.
Jim drew a little too early.
Oh, it won't come out?
You're not ready, Jim.
Well, all we got to say is that John Wayne was lucky he didn't draw against Jim Murray. You see, it will not come out early. How many shots do you get like this?
You get 6, and
And you put in how much?
50 cents.
50 cents, you get
He
6.
beats you. If he beats you, you don't get to the bonus round.
Oh, now he's in the bonus
Well,
round.
he gets to shoot against 5 guys. If he beats all of them, he goes
Oh,
on to face
well.
Black Mark, who's real tough.
Well, yeah, I think I got one more to go. Then there's a guy I probably don't have a chance of beating.
Well, he's left-handed too, you'll notice. Now, he hadn't even pulled his gun, but it was free.
No, it is on the board. It says draw.
Oh, okay.
And when it says that, you
You
can
can
go
draw.
ahead.
All right.
This is Black Mark.
Is this the one that's tough?
Yeah. Jim won't win here.
I don't think
I
you got
just
it.
got shot.
He was 41.
41 hundredths of a second. I was 58 hundredths of a second.
Great, if you want to believe it. Great. You get a chance to play your ranking.
Jim didn't rank on there.
Didn't rank that time? He thought he did pretty well. Again, some old posters. These are not, are any of these, I should say, some of them are reprints or?
Most are originals, some of them are reprints.
Okay, most of them are originals.
That's an original of the Bohemian Girl.
Yep. Houdini. Okay, where are we going now, Mike? We're going, oh, basketball. We don't have. Oh, well, here you don't have to worry about being fast draw here.
No. This is our basketball court. It's a small little court. We have a height adjustable rim so kids can come in and dunk it, or big kids like me want to feel like we can jump real high.
Adjustable.
Yes.
Okay, so they can go up and
That
down.
goes up
All
and
right.
down on the track.
Yeah.
We can bring it down to 8 feet, and it goes up to regulation 10 feet.
All right. What's the difference between the red and the blue? Is that
Oh,
different?
it's just to simulate the paint
Okay,
in the
but
regular
there's
basketball
no,
court.
the points here are baskets, doesn't
Yes.
it? There's no recording here or anything?
No, it's just to come in and have a good time.
Okay.
Shoot a few baskets.
And learn how to dunk from
learn how
a
to
lower.
dunk it. Yeah.
Okay, and how,
I can probably dunk.
what do they do here now? They come in for so long?
No, this is open. They don't have
This
to pay
is
to come
open.
in here. Anybody can come in and play. If you're sitting up in the bar,
Yeah, and if you're not very good, someone's going to see you
they
up
can
there.
watch it. That's
Huh?
right. They can watch it. Yeah.
Okay, so you raised and lowered that from another area, right?
Right underneath it, there's a hand crank
Oh yeah?
right here, and you just go up underneath it.
And you can make it where you want.
That's right. Yeah.
Go ahead and dunk one for
Want
us,
me to dunk
Mike.
one
We
for
want
you?
to see a
I'd be
dunk.
awful embarrassed if I couldn't do it.
I haven't seen many O'Connors from Chattagay dunking.
Well, you have to watch me, I guess. Maybe an O'Neill.
Okay, that's the way it feels to dunk, right? This used a lot too, probably.
It gets used a little bit, sure. Yeah.
I'll tell you, you've used your face very, very well.
You
haven't
do
you?
just about anything you want to here.
It's amazing, amazing.
Yep, golf is right next
They
door.
got golf next door.
Yeah.
We were going to go play golf, but it hasn't been activated for today yet. It takes a while, so we're going to move along. And we're in the stairway halfway from the entrance where the games were down below and where I redeemed my tickets, and halfway up to the restaurant and the bar. And this is all covered with memorabilia. Claire Bow, the movie star from way back, an Auburn car way back. Don't know the year. Then the old movie posters. Al Jolson. This is probably before the talkies right here. And I don't know some of these people. The 5-cent cigars, Charles Buddy Rogers, Buster Keaton, many things that you will recognize if you're into old movies and things. And then some more down here, Clark Gable, Anytime, Anywhere, Any Day, right around down, even the fire alarm built right into it. The old Lucky Chesterfield posters from the magazines. Lou Gehrig here, another movie star, and all these are lined and pasted on. Music sheets. These are music sheets. An old ad from a magazine, the Ford sedan, that we're selling maybe for $450 to $550. Eddie Cantor, look at here, Newt Rockney in Notre Dame, and just so many things you will recognize. And so you cater to all people.
How we're trying to do that.
You've got women things, you've got the men, the young people, the teenagers, huh?
Yeah, a lot of things, especially in this wall, that would appeal to people with music interests. They are sheet music covers. They're all originals.
They are all originals here,
Yep. Alex picked those up in New York City. Copy of the New York Times from, I think it's March 1933.
Okay.
President signs bill for legal beer. That was
Okay, that's the end of Prohibition. Remember, Prohibition started in January 1920 after having been signed and made an amendment back in 1919. It would be a year later. And then look at these, just go on and on and on of the various things. Your Bonnie and Clyde's car that was all shot up. Here, another ad for an old Ford. Gary Cooper many, many years ago. You could just spend all kinds of time looking at these things, and I find them very, very interesting. Now, there's a separate door for the bar so that teenagers and youngsters don't go to that section at all.
That's correct.
And they can go right into the restaurant without going through the bar.
That's correct. The bar's separated.
All right. Okay. So when you're here, you're one of the owners. Are you here every day, basically?
Yes, I am.
So what do you generally do? You've got managers in different sections. I don't mean that you don't do anything, but what is your normal day, Jim?
Well, it changes from day to day. A lot of my days during the week are spent in the brewery, whether it's brewing beer, filtering beer, kegging up beer. You heard a few minutes ago some banging in the background. Dan's in there now filling some kegs of beer. I think he's making raspberry beer today, as a matter of fact, and we're just about out. We wanted to make sure we had enough for the weekend.
Okay, we'll go see that. Now, you must also spend some time in a restaurant talking to your clientele?
Sure I do.
In the bar? I mean, these people, you know these people. You're a hometown boy here for many years.
Yeah, and a lot of people that come here are from Plattsburgh, of course, and a lot of people are members of the Court Club, which is our health club. And I'm the manager of the Court Club, so I know most of those people.
Okay. And it's good to meet your patrons, right?
Sure.
Absolutely. And they like to talk to the big cheese.
Yeah, and
You're one of those.
I've always been a social person. I like to talk to them,
Very
too.
good. Excellent. Okay, we're glad he's talking with us today. Jim Murray. I'm Bob Venn. Calvin Castine has the camera. He's the one you haven't seen. I'm the skier that went into the fence 8 times on the way down. We'll be right back. Of course, we brought down one of our stars of our bootlegging shows, Orville Tremblay, tell us all about his father and his family. And Orville, you've tasted some of this beer, I hear, that they make here. How'd you make out?
It's different.
Different? What do you mean different? Different taste?
Different taste.
You have different... they asked him, what's his normal beer?
Tennessee.
So you can get something that tastes like it, or would...
Yeah, we have a variety of flavors. Our lightest beer is a blonde ale. We also have a pale ale that kind of mimics a Canadian beer. The blonde does in a way, too. And we go right up the color spectrum to stouts, and we have fruit beers. I think we currently have 9 beers on tap right now.
Okay. Now, you were going to tell us about these tanks above.
Yeah, the beer is made in the brewery, which we'll visit shortly, and then it's piped through stainless steel pipes across the ceiling into these tanks that we're looking at now. Those are stainless steel serving tanks, and that is a refrigerated room. At times we remove beer from those tanks and put it into kegs. Dan's inside the lower part of the cooler right now, kegging up some beer.
Then you use the kegs under the bar?
No, the bar's fed directly from the large kegs.
Okay.
The kegs might be for a wedding that's being held this weekend
Okay,
here.
okay, so
and
you'd move it right over to that area.
That's
Do you
correct.
sell kegs to anywhere else off the premises?
We can do that.
can
We
do?
haven't done much of it, but we can do that, and that's something we're going to be looking into.
Okay. All right, let's look over here. We'll see where they're putting it in kegs.
On in.
Come on in, Orville. This is a little cooler.
Not too bad.
Cooler than where we were, but not like outside. Now, are these the same type of kegs that if you bought kegs of beer from under, you'd get in this type of keg?
Yeah,
These are aluminum?
yeah, I think they're
I think,
aluminum.
huh? Okay, so he's filling one over there now?
Yeah,
Getting
he's
ready
about
to.
ready to. He
Okay.
tapped into a keg up above, and it comes down through this hose and fills the keg. The beer goes in one line, and the carbon CO2, which we put in the kegs, comes out the other, so it relieves the pressure.
Okay. You put CO2 in the keg?
Well, we don't want the beer to be exposed to air, so we purge the kegs with CO2 to get the air out.
Okay.
Um,
So he's preparing to load one there now?
yeah, we can load up to 4 at a time. I think it looks like he's doing 2 right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna do just a stout.
He's doing a stout right now, which is one of our darkest beers.
Okay. I don't drink at all, so I don't know what beers taste like, except I've never acquired the taste for it, and I don't know the difference, but there's a big difference in taste of beer?
Oh yeah, major difference.
Okay.
You find some of the major breweries nowadays will add rice and less expensive products to their beers to lower their costs. We don't do that. All of our beers are full grain, mostly barley, different types of barley. They're more like the beers that our fathers and grandfathers drank, as opposed to what's on the market today.
Okay.
As you know, in Europe, no one in Europe likes American beers because they say they're too watery. This is more like a European beer, and European beers are more like beers that our ancestors drank.
Out of 100 people that come and drink your beer, they wouldn't all necessarily like it as much as they would a beer in a bottle.
We find that of 100 people that come, 70 people will order our beer.
Okay.
The
But you do have the other beer too.
We have some other bottled beer.
Okay.
But of the 30 who don't order our beer, some might order a bit mixed drink, some might order a Coke, and some might order a bottled beer.
Okay.
But 7 out of 10 people are drinking our beer.
Okay. Dan, you want to tell us what you're doing, or is it self-evident?
This is a carbonating stone, and what I'm gonna do is carbonate the beer as it goes into the keg.
You're going to carbonate it as it goes into it?
Yes, it goes into the keg.
Okay.
And we're all set. We're just going to turn the beer on. Start pouring. And we'll turn our carbonation on.
So it's feeding now?
Yep, now we'll turn our carbonation on, so we're gonna start carbonating it.
No, we just got these.
And that's it. We just let it sit here.
Just like that, yeah?
So it's coming in this tube, when I see it come back out this tube, shut it off.
Okay, that's it, you know, okay, but it doesn't automatically shut off, it goes back in.
Then I know the keg is full.
Okay. And how much does the keg hold?
These are considered half kegs. I'm not exactly sure what these, I think
Okay.
it's like 15, Kim, what's a half keg like this hold? As far as-
15 and a half gallons.
15 and a half, but about what would that weigh, any idea, 100?
Say 6.5 pounds to a gallon, so there's 90-something pounds plus another 20 for the
Okay,
keg.
so you're over 100 pounds.
Yeah.
Very heavy.
Yes. Now, do you move those, or do you have some guy that comes help you when you want to move them?
Well,
Now, be honest, Dan.
I just fill them up.
There you go. Let the other guys move them, huh? All right. Now, how do you know do you use the same kegs all the time for a certain kind of beer, and it's marked in some way?
No, we have a keg cleaner here. That's this machine here. This cleans our kegs.
Okay, but how do you know what's in this one after?
Well, I'll mark it.
You mark it with a tag on top?
Yeah, I'll mark it with a tag. I'll also mark the wood plug on the side.
Okay. So, the wood plug is where you will
That's what we
empty
do.
it from?
Mhm. Yeah, that's, I drilled the wood
Right
plug
here,
down and drilled
is the wood plug, okay.
this one there.
And then you put there's some kind of a faucet or something you put on the side, so you empty them?
No, I just, we hook up the machine so the solution goes in one line out the
Oh,
other.
then they just use the hand?
You flip them upside down on the rack here.
Okay.
And,
All right, this is the way it's done. The temperature in here is usually kept at, what's this,
Around
40,
30.
45 in here?
30.
30, okay.
35, 36.
And this is where, I gotta tell you, I might just as well, I've told people before, when we were in school at Old Champlain Central in the 40s, we made our own beer. And we sent it to Cornell to be analyzed. We had a telegram back, said my horse has diabetes. That's all I'm gonna tell you about that. I've mentioned this before, and I'll repeat it, that Calvin and I go out and do this kind of show to inform people of what's happening in our area, so you know what's happening, what people are doing. We're not here to advertise bootleggers. We're not here to advertise any place we go. That's not our purpose. Our purpose is to let people know what's available, what things are happening, what great things that are happening in our area, and if someone gets advertising out of that, so be it. But that's not our main reason, and you know that. We're not here to advertise. But now, the brewery, this is where you make beer, and as Calvin mentioned, there's got to be a lot of control on a thing like this. Licenses and Board of Health and everything else?
Yeah, the Board of Health inspects basically for cleanliness and safety, but the licensing is done by the federal government. Once the license is obtained through the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the state licensing agencies kind of fall in place. But working with the federal government is time-consuming, it's meticulous, and it happens every 2 weeks. Everything that we brew has to be reported on every 2 weeks. We have to pay a tax to the federal government of $7 for every barrel we brew.
That's what I was going to ask next. I can remember when I worked at Customs, when a load of liquor or came through the border, it was more than double in value before it left the border because of the taxes that were added. You know, I think it was something like $11 a gallon for liquors. But beers, it's probably less. $7 every barrel you give in the form of tax.
That's correct. That goes straight to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, or excise tax division.
If they had bought the beer in the case, that would have been paid for by the brewer originally, and it would be in the price that you pay.
Right. The brewer pays the tax.
Okay. So, what happens here now?
Basically what happens, the vessel on the left, the copper vessel, is called a mash tun. When we brew, this auger that's above Calvin's head is dropped down, and that hopper lands on the ground over there. To that we add the grain. It's predominantly barley. We have specialty grains we add to get different flavors. A roast barley or a black barley might give you the burnt flavor in a stout. The auger carries the grain up to the mash tun, and there it's mixed with water, a little bit of water, and it seeps for about 75 minutes. During that time, the starches that are in the grain are converted to sugar. We have test equipment to tell when those starches have been converted to sugar.
You have to train your people to do this.
Yeah, there's only there's three of us who can brew. Mike O'Connor and I can brew right now. Dan probably could brew on his own also. But a lot of it's a two-man operation. Someone has to load the grain on the bottom while someone on the top is stirring the mix in, for instance. You need two people. But after that cooks for 75 minutes, in this vessel is hot water, probably about 240 gallons of it. We'll take the hot water and pump it over and spray it on top of the grain. And as it seeps down through the grain, it picks up the nutrients and the sugars, comes out the bottom there.
Okay, right there, yeah.
Right. And then we bring it over to boil. We'll bring it in this and boil it for 75 minutes, and at different varying times we'll add hops. Certain hops will give you a bitter flavor, some will give you a bitter aroma, but that's all in the part of the recipe and knowing when to add those hops. Boil for 75 minutes, and then the what's called wort at that point is transferred to one of these fermenters. I believe we made, this is a Canada Goose Pale Ale here. It's fermenting right now. As we start to fill the fermenter, we throw in about a 5-gallon pail of yeast. The yeast dine on the sugar, and as they eat sugar, they convert sugar to alcohol, and they give off a byproduct of CO2, which carbonates the beer. As you can see, this is fermenting. We're drawing off the excess CO2. We produce far more than you could use. National breweries will wash their CO2 and compress it and reuse it in their canning and bottling operation. For us, we have no way of doing that, so it's just draining off. At a certain point in fermentation, we'll know it's about to stop. We'll close this lever, and the CO2 will remain in there to carbonate the beer.
Okay. Is this the last stage in here?
Not quite the last stage. Once the beer's fermented, you reduce temperatures at a couple specific locations to eliminate the chance for any off flavors entering into the beer. And then you allow it to age for a few days at about 36 degrees. Most of the yeast that's remaining will fall to the bottom of the tank, and it can be drawn off. We put a 5-gallon pail of yeast in, but when we're done brewing, we probably take 8 or 9 gallons out. It multiplies. We use that yeast for a subsequent brew.
Okay.
And then the beer's filtered. We have a filter with that we have to filter with to remove any other yeast that might be in there. And as it's filtered, it goes through some stainless steel pipes over there, and it's brought up to where we originally looked, where those big tanks are in the cooler.
Now, if we were to go in a, if you pardon the expression, large brewery, it'd be basically the same things with different sized tanks or more of them?
Exactly the same
process. Exactly the same process. So you've got it here in miniature, so to speak.
That's correct. With these, we make 7 barrels at a time. A barrel is 2 kegs as we know it today. So a barrel's 31 gallons. Okay. We make 217 gallons per batch.
Per batch. All right. You brew every day?
No, we brew a couple times a week. As things get busier in the winter, we'll probably be brewing 3 times a week.
When it starts here and goes to here, at that point, can you change it to a different kind of beer, or is it depending what you put in this tank?
The grains you use will determine what type of beer.
So right in the beginning, you start out a certain kind.
Yeah.
The grains, are they in bags?
50-pound bags we get from North Country Malt Supply right in Champlain.
Okay. And it's done right here, and you store that there's a storage room behind here where you store it?
We have a storage room downstairs. We bring it up on the elevator.
On the elevator. All right. I guess that's about all I can think of. Any questions that you have, Orville, that you would hear with this? What about Calvin? Anything you can think of? You've got some gauges over there. Do you use those gauges to tell you when things are going to happen or when they should be?
You can look at this sheet if Calvin can zoom in on it. We made this beer on Tuesday. Alcohol content, a brewer will measure in specific gravity. There's other ways we use specific gravity. Mm-hmm. We tested this beer out at it's called 1050, 1.050. It's more gravity than water. Water would be 1.0. As the sugars are eaten up and turned to alcohol, that specific gravity goes down. We know we want to stop this Canada Goose Pale Ale at about 1.08, 1.008. I haven't tested it today. It's probably about 1.020. So another day or two of fermentation, and
that long?
It'll be done. Fermentation takes 4 to 5 days, and then with the temperature drop and then aging of the beer for a few days, we're looking probably 10 to 12 days per batch. Okay.
If that beer were saved for 3 months, big deal now, is our beer has the date it's got to be used by. Would beer be more tasty or more flavor after 2 months than it is after 12 days?
It's all downhill.
It's downhill?
Yeah, the fresher the better. We have to time our brews real carefully so that none of the beer is in the cooler too long. By the same token, we don't want it sitting in here fermenting when we can't use it. And, you're 12 days out in your timing, so you have to know when you got to brew.
So these 5 are all fermenting tanks?
Yes, they are.
So you could have 5 different ones fermenting at one time?
We could have 5 fermenting, and we've got 7 serving tanks up there, so, we could have a lot of beer.
Right. Now, I know Food and Drug is very, very concerned what you do, and do you have to keep track of each batch? So if something were to happen, quote, this is maybe shouldn't be brought up, but if someone got sick, I don't know, if you got bad barley or something, you would have to be able to attach it to a certain batch? I do that with food, maybe not with beverages.
Because of the alcohol content, there's nothing in beer that can really hurt you. It can taste bad, but it's not going to hurt you. But yes, we have to keep track of each batch we've made. We have records of every batch we've made since we opened, and we expect to be audited by Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
Do you have any metered gauges that have a printed record of what you do, other than when you write it down?
No, we write it down. There's no
You don't
printer.
have any gauge that has the graph on it with a needle or anything like
No.
that? Not in this type
No, we
of thing.
don't.
Well, this is very unusual. Look, you're right outside the window here on Route 3. If you're going by, you can look in. We're in the northeast corner of the building, and you can see that brass tank here, no question, through the window.
Oh, yeah.
If you wonder what it is, that's what it is. This is where they brew it, right here. Very expensive equipment, I take it.
Yeah, the equipment is very expensive, and there's other associated costs that, you think, well, I buy this equipment for X number of dollars. You also have to build sizable cooler space, buy the refrigeration equipment. And
Okay. What was your main purpose to brew your own rather than buy? Is it, I don't want to say gimmick, but is it something that you can offer nobody else can?
Yeah, I think we looked and saw the rising popularity of microbrew beers. We can see the taste changes coming in the American public. There's been a yearly 40% growth in microbreweries and brew pubs. We thought it would be a good business opportunity. I, for one, prefer tasting the beer that my grandfather and his father tasted, as opposed to the more watered-down varieties that we have on the markets today.
Okay.
Some of the national breweries will use rice, which imparts very little flavor. They'll use rice as an adjunct to reduce the brewing cost. We don't do that. You'll have a maltier, more fuller-tasting beer here, of varying degrees, of course. But those are the beers that are popular, and we think the business concept is a solid one. It's worked throughout the country, and here we are.
Did you say 9 or 11 kinds you brew?
We've got 9. I think we have 9 on tap right now. We can brew more, but we only have so much space.
Now, what's your favorite?
My favorite is McKenna's Irish Stout, and I also like the Canada Goose Pale Ale.
Okay, there's 2. We've got 2 favorites. You come here and you want to know what Jim Murray likes the best, try that. See if you like the same things that he does. He's a nice guy, so maybe you will or maybe you won't, depending. We'll be right back. We're at the Bootleggers. And boy, does that sound familiar in the northern New York. You know, we were telling before that in the 1920s, the most extensive, what industry had more people involved than anything else, and it was bootlegging.
Is that
More people involved in bootlegging in northern New York than in any other, well, maybe farming, but yes, where people worked was bootlegging. A lot of people were involved. They don't all admit it, but they were in it.
It's a fascinating history, because of our proximity being right south of Montreal and a corridor to the greater New York area. I'm sure tons of liquor and beer were brought through here.
Of course, right in Champlain, 1 mile, half a mile above the border, not even that, was the famous Meridian where everybody went. And Champlain was well known throughout the Northeast because they came here to drink. It was that close.
Yeah. My grandfather, who was Matt Lucy and worked for D&H Railroad for years, talked about the Meridian many times. I never knew exactly where it was, but even as a kid I remember that name, and I suspect he frequented that area on many occasions.
Of course, he never went there. He just heard about it.
I think he went there.
You think he went there? You know, as a matter of fact, I might make you a picture of the Meridian that you could put on your wall here.
We'd love to
Would
have
you?
it.
I'll see that you get a big one.
We'd love to have
Okay.
it.
And we'll put my name on the bottom of it, and we'll say Hometown Cable. We'll be right back. We moved out to where the beer ends up in the bar, and there's plenty of seats here. You must seat 60, 70 people in
I
here?
think you're pretty close.
Right in here,
Yeah.
and then the great big bar that goes all around 4 sides, and you got all kinds of seating arrangements. And to me, if I drank beer, I would have as much fun, as much looking, and everywhere I look, it's something new all the time. Like right up here, for instance, near the clock, you've got a little miniature home brew type thing, right?
Right.
Now, while we were talking off camera, Calvin said, "Where did you get your recipes for these 9 beers?"
Basically, the whole thing evolved when I went to Chicago to go to brewing school. Learned how to brew beer, met brewers out there. The company that we purchased the equipment with supplied us with our original recipes. Since then, through a network of brewers, we've exchanged ideas and exchanged recipes. We're at the Boston Beer Convention this spring. Got a lot of ideas, improved our carbonating, met additional brewers who we called on with questions and recipe suggestions, and just in an effort to get better.
Make your own beer?
Yeah, Burlington.
The original microbrewery brew pub in this area is Vermont Pub and Brewery, located right downtown in Burlington.
Okay.
Somebody told me that once.
All right. Now, do you remember, Orville, or do you hear, were there any, what do I want to call it, where they brewed beer around here or brewed alcohol? Stills, any stills in
It
the
was
northern?
over in Vermont.
It
I'm
was?
not over in Vermont, over in Saranac Lake.
Saranac Lake had somewhere you could buy, but
I'll just buy it in 5-gallon cans.
but of course at Champlain you didn't have to. It was too close to the border where you could smuggle it across.
Yeah, but a lot of it was going through Canada.
There was a lot of it going into Canada, the alcohol that they made.
I remember we had my father had a pickup truck. She was on a farm, and we'd take the milk to the station with cans. And I'd leave my cans there and cover them up, and I'd go get a load of this alcohol. And I'd pull up this dirt road, and I'd stop, blow my horn. About 5 or 6 guys come out, each grab a hold of 2 cans, and then we're gone. Right in the woods.
We should
My
catch
father
you.
my father got his pay out of it. I know he got his pay. He knew the people who were doing it.
We should catch you up. His dad was one of the people who owned the cars that carried the booze across the border, but never drove a car. And Orville didn't drive any car, but they hired drivers that would drive the car to Plattsburgh for $25. At that time, people were making $10, $12 a week when they were working. They'd get $25 to bring the car down, and if they were going to be caught, they would abandon the car, run in the woods, and the car would be gone. But that was the cost of doing business. So his dad, you said, had 3 or 4 cars usually.
About 2 and 3.
2 and 3, and they'd make.
They got the biggest cars you could find, like Cadillacs, and there were
They carried
Cruzeros, things like that.
60 cases. You said up to
60
60 cases, and they didn't hide it. They just put it in the back seat and ran the border.
The driver sat on a case of beer. And it was all in burlap bags those days. There was no boxes. And I remember they put the top down for the touring, and they covered it with a blank canvas like.
Full. Just run.
And those guys, they voted. It's too bad the other guys couldn't have been here today because there were 2 drivers.
Then the others were drivers that
One
we
of them
talked
was
to.
87 years old. In the wintertime, in summertime, he played 27 holes of golf in one day.
Still. Yeah.
And the other one is
84.
84.
84.
And I'm 80 myself.
Yeah. So you got it.
You asked Orville a question that I'd like to comment on. You asked if there were breweries around here. Prior to Prohibition, and that was, of course, prior to pasteurization, every town had a brewery. Bigger cities like Philadelphia would have a brewery in the Irish neighborhood and one in the French neighborhood. But we didn't have the transportation system back then. National breweries didn't exist. You couldn't bring beer from Albany to Plattsburgh, for instance, by horse and buggy. It just wasn't economically feasible. So every town did have breweries. Nick Pope commented the other day that there used to be a brewery down at Bridge Street, and I think he said his grandfather, his last name was Papa, was a brewer down there. I'm sure there are breweries in Plattsburgh. I haven't researched it enough, but any information that I have is that they were all over in every small town.
Okay.
That was before Prohibition.
Before
Yes.
Prohibition,
Yeah.
yes, before.
Yeah.
Now, as we look up here, for instance, look at the 2 old radios. That in itself are hard to find now. We don't know if they're working condition. No one's going to play them anyway, and they got them off at an angle so you can see them. A little hard rubber tired cart, a little coaster, they called it there. And if you look around, lots of pictures framed, advertising. Now, you mentioned these paintings. Tell us about the man that painted these paintings over here.
You know, Terry and I owe a lot of credit and thanks to a man by the name of Alex Rada from Keene. We had put an ad in the paper probably over a year ago seeking memorabilia from the 1920s, and things weren't too readily accessible. Alex called and had all these creative ideas, and we sat and talked with him. Alex is an antique book dealer. He was about to go to New York City last September on a buying spree, as a yearly buying spree. And right away we trusted the man. He said, "Give me some money, I'll bring you some things back." He came back with many, if not most, of what you see in this bar. Alex hasn't painted anything since he was in high school, I believe. He's a man my age now. He painted that mural on the wall. He did that in his backyard. You can look at figures of Babe Ruth,
Yep.
Carrie Nation, and
Louis
see
Armstrong back
readily
there, yeah.
readable faces.
Yep.
For a talent that he hasn't used in over 30 years, if the guy would have ever cultivated that talent, I hate to think where he would be today.
Yep.
Above Calvin's head, and we can look at that in a few minutes, is a boat. Alex made that boat.
He made that. Okay, we'll get that when we get back a little bit.
That's not a kit. That was made out of a board. There are a couple boards glued together, and he made that boat. He'd never made a boat in his life, and he made that boat. Didn't take him that long. Just an extremely talented man.
Yep, very much so. So there's an awful lot of... Now, let me ask you a question. I don't want to embarrass you or Mr. Miron, Terry, but is his name in here anywhere?
The only location of Alex's name is on the mural. We almost insisted that he put his name on it. We want to recognize him in other ways.
I was going to say, you got these picture frames. Have a little frame somewhere that says that you're indebted to this man, and mention his name, because I think that he has really done you a real service here, believe me.
There's no question. If you look on the wall, Orville talked about his father having the big cars. There's
Yep.
a letter right there to Calvin's right. That's a copy of an original from Clyde Champion Barrow to
Right
Henry
here.
Ford. Clyde Barrow was more commonly known as Clyde of Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
In the letter, he thanks Henry Ford for the V8 and says what a great car it was. Well, of course it was, because the cops didn't have the V8 yet, and Clyde
Right.
was able to outrun them for quite some time.
Yeah.
But Alex had access to the original. He was able to make us a copy of that.
Yep. Now, the posts you see here, the lamp posts, there's 4 of them or 5 of them in here. And those are replicas, you say, right?
Yeah.
They're here, and it's just decor for this type of a place. Just over Calvin's head to the side is looks like at least 12-foot bobsled, toboggan or bobsled, I guess, that can't do much turning.
It is a bobsled.
It's a
and Alex
bobsled
also
on the
find
wall.
that. He found that in Sable, and apparently it's an original from the 1932 Olympics that were held in Lake Placid.
It's amazing. Amazing, the things he has in
the
here.
dress on the lady.
From the flapper stage, yes.
Yeah, we purchased the mannequin. Alex found the dress in New York City and the feathered hat. It certainly is a replica of the way a fine lady would dress when she went out in the evening during that time period.
And as you sit at the bar and look up at, there's 3 or 4 televisions up there, you see all the memorabilia, to the boxing gloves and the tennis rackets and the ball players and the football old helmets, all kinds of pictures. There's no end. Just a great place. And I'm going to see that they have a picture of the Meridian, the most famous place in northern New York, very soon. I've got a postcard, and I'm going to make sure that it's large so you can put it up here.
Bob, we'd love to have it. Local memorabilia is really hard to find. We would love to get our hands on something and display it here
Yep.
for the public. If anyone has something that's sitting in an attic and would like to share it with the public, we would be happy to share, to
Okay,
display
now,
it here.
can they either give it to you or loan it to you, either way?
If we're going to be responsible for it, we would prefer to buy something.
Okay.
I'd hate to take something on a loan and have something. If
Right.
something were to happen I'd feel responsible.
Okay.
So that's what we would prefer.
But you're willing to buy, or someone gives it, and they could put their name on it. You know, that's great
Yeah.
to see their name in a place like this.
Sure.
Unbelievable what I'm seeing here, because I like this kind of memorabilia. It don't have to be worth a fortune. Just a cover on a magazine, or that music song over there, the Vagabond song. To me, it's just a period of time that's very, particularly down to bootlegging time. You know, the 20s. I wasn't here until late 20s, by the way. When I was born in late 20s.
Well, you might remember that car that's up there.
Okay, let's
with
take
the
a break
police,
before we get to the car. We'll go, or we can see the both pieces.
Okay.
No, that wasn't towing car, no.
All right, we're looking up now at a very unusual display. Great memories, and this happened. If you remember, we talked how somebody was shot on the Cooperville Bridge and went down toward Lord's Marina and died there, bled to death, as Orville was telling us, back in 1921, I think it was. And this, what you have here, tell us about this vehicle.
Yeah, Franz Pope, our hotel manager, the concept came from him. We looked around for an old car, couldn't find one for quite some time. This is a 1936 Chevy. It was purchased from a gentleman in Altona. It had sat in a field there for many years, was rusted. What we did is cut the car in half. The front half was, we did the body work, and Shane Finney did that. We had it painted and put the police insignias on it and put the mannequin inside. The back half is the gangsters or the bootleggers car, and again, we put the mannequins in and dressed them with clothing of the style of the period.
Okay, so that's the same car. You're looking at the back half on the left, and it's a 1936 Chevy. Now, the only thing I would comment, based on talking with our bootleggers, is that the likelihood in northern New York of anybody in a bootlegging car having a gun was very remote. Is that right? Guns, they didn't carry guns, and they never shot at the cops. They just ran, and there may have been times, and I'm sure they did this in the Chicago area, but northern New York, they did not fire back. They just went as fast as possible. If they couldn't get away, and they were being shot at, and if they didn't get away, they would abandon the car and run in the woods. And these customs officers, customs patrol, and state police would shoot, and they shoot to kill.
My wife's stepfather, whose name is Albert Dubuque, I believe he's 89 years old, drove bootlegging cars during that period. He was caught once, and I believe he put him in in jail for 2-3 days and let him out,
Yep.
as if it wasn't that serious of an offense. Probably near the end of Prohibition, when people had the feeling that things were going to be legalized and the penalties were less.
First of all, from what I've read in Dr. Alan Everett's book on Rum Across the Border, do you have that here? You ought to have that on one of these books on the wall.
We have the book.
You have the book.
We've all read it. It's not on display.
Okay. He says that 90% of the people were against Prohibition, and they didn't feel that what the drivers were doing was a crime. It was against the law, no question about that, but they didn't think they were bad people. Or as Ed Favreau once said on radio, he said, we were just trying to make an honest living. Ed Favreau said, we're just trying to make an honest living driving a truck. And we were in our last edition that we did with them in a stretch limousine, we were talking about all this drink and all these All right, we're talking about this airplane, the Spirit, a copy of the Spirit of St. Louis, and tell us about this.
Yeah, the plane was made by Maynard Gilbert, a local boy. I taught with Maynard at Plattsburgh Middle School for 16 years, and he's well recognized not only locally but nationally for his plane building skills. I approached him and said that we wanted a copy of the Spirit of St. Louis, and he said, my God, that's such an ugly plane. Why don't you get a barnstorming plane or something more interesting? But the event of the Prohibition era was the crossing of the Atlantic. Probably he excelled putting a man on the moon at that time. Right. If you look at the plane, you'll see that there's no front windshield in the cockpit. Lindbergh looked out of a periscope out of the side window to see where he was going. He was able to look out at the top of the plane and navigate using the stars. He could look out the side windows. But when he landed, he actually had to use a periscope to see where he was going. The whole front of the plane was filled with fuel to get him across the Atlantic. He landed very close to his destination, and it was the miracle trip of the day. Maynard made the plane to exact reproduction, even the burnishings on the front of the cockpit, and everything that's there is a reproduction of exactly of what the Lindbergh plane was like.
Let me tell you what happened. Yeah, just before we started this segment, Jim mentioned this was made by a local person, and Calvin said it looks like something that Bob's buddy Maynard Joubert might do, and sure enough, it's Maynard's. Maynard, of course, was from Scioto, his wife from Rouse's Point, and very close friend I am of the whole family. They've been very good to me for the last 50 years. I know all the family very well. That's a picture of Lindbergh up there in 1927, wasn't it?
I think you're right.
1927. Yep. Okay, so Maynard did a great job. We did a story on him. Remember how he built his planes? We went out and took shots of where they were flying them out on the back road to Beekmantown. Now, what's your display of old instruments here?
Music was a real important medium of the bootlegging period. You had the Cotton Club in New York City, the jazz came in, and we just wanted to get some instruments up because they're such a big part of the era.
Yeah.
We're going to be putting a stage up there and some characters that would mimic the dress and the musicians of the time.
If you think those 33s look smaller than the ones you recognize, it's because they're not 33s. Those are 78s, and they broke. They say they were break resistant, but they would break. They would crack very, very easily, and that's what they had in the jukeboxes back in the 1950s. And at that time, this man right here, get over here away from the window, Orville. Orville was into the jukebox business, all right? How many jukebox did you have out?
Oh, about 10.
10 jukebox out. And how did that work, Orville? You'd put a jukebox in a bar, and then what would happen?
We work on a percentage basis, 50%.
50% for you, 50% for the man who did the work. You'd keep it up, and you'd change records how often?
Every 2 weeks. Not all of them, it's just about 3-4 records.
Right, 3 or 4. Now, how many records in a machine like that?
Well, the new one's got about 200 records in it.
Oh, today, but not then. Not
No,
when you
no.
had the 78s.
At that time, 24.
Okay. I have a 1948 Wurlitzer at home, the wooden model, and
That got the dome top?
Yep. And it looked like it had the shape, and mine was 24 records, and you could only play one side of the records, so you'd come back and flip them over once in a while, right?
Yeah.
And it was 5 cents for a record to play, 6 for a quarter.
Yeah, that's
Remember
right.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right there, you put your money in that. And you used to have little places.
Well, I had pinball machines, too.
Well, just like you had little things on the bars or in the restaurants that you put your money in,
Oh, yeah.
push it, and it would play the jukebox by remote control. Remember those?
I only had 2 of those.
You only had 2 of those.
One at the Rainbow and I had one up in Ellenburg.
So you had pinball machines too?
Oh, yeah, that was your money, was pinball.
Pinball machine, like they've got downstairs here, some.
Yeah, and the cops picked them up, threw them in the dump.
Oh yeah, you couldn't. Was it illegal?
They claimed it was. We never knew it, but everybody run pinball machines that was in that business.
Well, if it were illegal, does that run in your family or something, Orville?
I don't know if it was. Oh,
Well, I'm thinking of the bootlegging, and then.
Oh, yeah.
But of course, you couldn't give money for prizes. You could give
that's what
free
the-
games,
well,
right?
that's what they picked them up.
Yeah,
for.
because they gave money or they gave.
No, we gave free games.
Yeah, free games. That was all right usually.
Yeah, but they passed that law. What happened down in the cities, they had what they call a bingo pin game. They were faster than a slot machine, and they were running them. Buffalo got them, Syracuse had them, and all the way down the line. And then they said we'll clean up all New York State, so they cleaned the whole state up.
You're talking here the 40s and the early 50s. I don't know if it never went to 60s, did it?
I forget. No.
And in the 1960s is when you started your northern blacktopping, correct?
36 years ago.
36 years ago, 1960.
That's right.
He did one of my driveways,
This
I
is
think,
one-
the
this is
first
one of
couple of
Larry's
years.
Caps, you know that?
There you go.
Street print.
What's that right on there? Screen print.
Street print.
Oh, street print. Oh, that's where you get the printing of. That's that new thing that you can do now.
Have you ever seen that yet?
There's some street print right outside our front
Right
door.
outside
Oh,
your
yeah.
door.
Well,
Larry did it.
Yeah.
Larry did it. So
How do you like it?
you know Larry, right?
Oh, yeah. I have the privilege of getting beat by Larry on the racquetball court quite frequently.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Larry, of course, is one of the 7 children. 7? I mean, you're six. Six. One of 6 children that Orville has, and he's the owner of the blacktopping, right?
I was.
He
Oh.
was, but he is. Larry is now.
Oh, yeah.
Larry runs that now. And okay, we'll be right back. We're talking here with Orville Tremblay, one of our on-site experts of that period, and a man who came along after that by the name of Jim Murray. But he's got a lot of stuff up here that's great memorabilia. Now, Jim, you know, it's very unusual. We just got finished the second story on Bootleggers, and then, of course, we get down here within a couple of weeks to talk about your place. Now, this man is an authority because it was in the family. You said your father didn't always have cars.
No. At one time, he started bootleg with horses. He'd go to Canada, up in Naperville. You know where Naperville is?
Yeah.
It's about 14 miles. This little mare, her name was Mag. And he'd come home at night with her, and just a little light on a buggy. I mean, on a sleigh. Put her in the barn, and the next day, he'd take off for Plattsburgh. And I remember he'd dress up with heavy clothes. He had a coonskin coat and a woolen glove, whatever, and something to cover up with. And he'd take off the next morning right during the day for Plattsburgh. And when he got down, before he got to Plattsburgh, my aunt had a little farm and they kept horses. So he'd pull in there and he'd give them $5 and rent their horse. And he'd put his horse in the barn to rest up and gives it water and grain. And then he'd get his money. And my mother fixed his cat in the lining. So when he got paid, he put that money inside of his cat. And he started for home with his horse again. He'd go to sleep on the sled. And he never woke up, the horse would bunk her nose on the gate. That's the truth.
He was dressed up warm. Was he hiding bottles of bootleg in his
No,
coat? Or?
it was all liquor.
It was all liquor.
Oh, yeah.
So he had that where in the back of the sleigh?
Yeah. Oh, they call it a budlow. It's a square sleigh. Just a one-horse sleigh, you know. And that little mare, you never saw her. I've rode her many times, horseback.
And how many in your family? How many brothers and sisters?
There was 12 of us.
12. So this was one way for him to get some money to raise a family, you know. And then, as we mentioned, even the farmers that weren't bootlegging would let the bootleggers park behind their barn because they were in favor with what they were doing. And of course, they would leave them a few bottles or half a case or something for doing
No,
it.
we always paid them. My father always paid them.
Yeah.
Give him $10.
And that was a lot of money back in the 20s. You got to remember that. you
But
know.
I think he could make about $6 a case on beer. And he put 60 bags of beer in a Cadillac or a Packard, one of the big cars, you know. And he'd pay his drivers $30 a piece to drive. If they made 3 trips in one night, he'd give them an extra $10. And that was money back then.
Oh, you want to believe it?
The next night they were broke, those guys. They go out and gamble and they're young fellas.
Yeah. 19,
20.
18, 19,
Oh,
20.
yeah.
The one that was shot in Cooperville was 19, I think.
18.
18.
18.
There was another one killed right in Champlain, next to where his uncle's house was. It wasn't his uncle's at the time. That they shot a man. 3 guys came to get liquor, and they shot the guy that was helping the owner in the chest. He died the next day.
My understanding is that there was a lot of whiskey transported down Lake Champlain also. Do you have any?
Somewhat. No, we never messed around. The only thing what my father did, he'd load these cars up, and he'd get them into Vermont. And when he's close to on a ferry in JD, used to be a ferry in JD, nobody else done on that ferry. So he paid the ferry company. I forget what it was. Because when they got into Vermont, they were loaded into a truck. And the truck they went to Massachusetts. And the other week, they never went any further than Plattsburgh. From there, they went to New York City. When those trucks were unloaded, they were protected by the cops.
Yeah.
They were paid off by the...
There were several speakeasies here in the
Oh,
city
yeah.
that they would sell this beer. And
Oh,
food.
sure.
And, they were very run by very prominent people in this town. You talk about the liquor coming down the... in Dr. Everett's book, you must have read it,
Yes.
that if they saw the patrol or something on the Red Lake, they had the bags and they would tie it to a block of salt. Did you read that?
Yes, I did.
And as the salt would melt in 24 hours, they'd come back and the bags would be floating. They'd pick it up and go on. Very clever. They had all the ideas. There were stories in there about liquor in coffins, various things like that they did, So your dad, it must have been 8 or 10 years he was doing this, right? Along the
more than
period?
that.
More than that. Then after the Prohibition was over in 33, there was still bootlegging, but it was north. Because they could make it cheaper here, and they were bringing booze to Canada.
Well, it's still going on now, isn't it? With cigarettes and liquor going
Yeah.
across
Some
the
big.
border.
Most of that they attribute over near the Fort Covington area.
My father bootlegged 14 years.
14 years. Yeah.
Wow.
And
He made a lot of money, and he lost a lot.
yeah, I'm sure.
But he bought 3 farms, and he paid for them. All with bootleg money.
Jeez.
And he raised his dozen kids.
Yeah.
Fascinating era.
And his mom
Well,
passed away a couple
and he
years
was-
ago, in
he was-
99.
He was arrested once. He took his hired van and he went to down to the Meridian, and he had a couple drinks down there. Then he bought a couple bottles of liquor, and he hid it in the back of the cushion of his car, which was an Oakland back those days. You heard of an Oakland car?
I've heard of them.
Right in the afternoon, so they come through and he stopped at the customs. He brings the thing back. He said, "No, not a thing." They looked the car over and said, "Well, they'll send you to Rouse's Point to be checked." Well, my mother's first cousin, fellow by the name of Goodrow, he was an officer down there at Rouse's Point. So my father rolled down, the officers followed. The officer stopped him. Get down there, and my father goes in the custom house. He says, told Goodrow, he says, heck, he says, we went down and had a few beers. He says, nothing in there. In the meantime, they'd found it. They came in and they arrested my father. They took him to, put him in jail, and he wanted to bail himself. They wouldn't let him. My grandfather went and bailed him. And he went to Auburn, New York for his trial. And he had a choice if it serve 30 days in jail or pay a $1,000 fine.
And which one did he choose?
He paid the fine.
You see now,
He said, I can make that in a week.
bringing across as many as in his vehicle, 60 cases, getting away with it, and got caught with 2 bottles.
Yeah.
And
that's something.
they would check cars. These people didn't hide it. They put it and ran the border. That's what was happening. We'll take another break. We're at Bootleggers. Full name: Bootleggers
Pub and Brewery.
Pub and Brewery, both here on Cornelia Street in Plattsburgh, and we're talking with Jim Murray, Arnold Trombley. I'm every Sunday, Bob Venn, I haven't changed mine, and Calvin Castine with the camera every day, bringing you things, stories, and events of the North Country. Thanks for tuning in.
I know it is an old bottle of...
Let's start this again. Okay, one night, tell us. No.
Well, my father went to bed early this night, and about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, somebody knocked on the door. He let him in. There was 3 guys, and they wanted some kind of liquor. My father said, "Geez, I don't have it," which he didn't have that type of liquor that they wanted. He said, "I can get it for you in Canada. Well, he said, if you do it, we'll give you $5 a case. Bring us down there down to where Meridian is." My father took them down, and he loaded them up. And they paid him. It was $5 a case.
$5, and they paid for the beer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was $5.
It was
like
liquor, it wasn't beer.
a commission. Yep.
And he told him, he says, "You want me to patrol the car from here to Plattsburgh? Once you get past Plattsburgh, it was pretty safe then. Most of your rough spots were around here." He says, "No." One guy got in the back of the car with a machine gun.
There's your, there, see, that's out of town people.
One guy got in the back of the car with a machine gun, and the other 2 sat in the front. They each got guns. He said, "If we hear of us getting caught, you'll read about it in the paper."
Yeah.
But they never came back. Or maybe they got murdered when they got down there. I don't know.
I don't think there were many officers ever shot
No,
during
no,
that period because they didn't carry guns. You know, they didn't want to get in.
No, but these guys here were
Yeah,
rough.
they did. That was something different. That was you're talking outfit there, like you're talking about here. See?
They put these guys used to come in from Massachusetts. They were Italian boys. And they were nice fellows. There was two of them. Each carried a gun, and each had a knife. And my father said sometimes he wouldn't be home and they'd get here at night. And they always used the spare room to go to bed. So my father said, just go to show them my mother's, or where the room was, the spare room, or my mother's room. Hit in a window with a coin that'll wake her up. So they say, this is Tony from Pittsfield. Okay, come on in. And the next morning she served their breakfast and they'd always leave with $5 or $10. And that's back in the 20s.
Yeah. This was an exciting time, you know. These guys thought it was excitement. See, one of the things. Now,
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
Another one I will tell you about. Another guy was from Plattsburgh here. Him and his wife, she was a stout woman. She wore a skirt about that big long, right to the floor almost. And she built pockets all the way around it. And they come to our house, and my father fill up the pockets. And they go home with a couple cases of liquor.
there was a man in here, and we've heard it repeated many times. All I know his last name was Green.
Oh, Eddie Green.
What is it?
Eddie.
Eddie Green. That
Yep.
really was a big operator in this community. I think he might have had a speakeasy, and did he have cars too?
Oh, yeah.
He had cars. He did a lot. And
biggest
people
one-
drove for him.
The biggest one was Conrad LaBelle.
Conrad LaBelle was the biggest.
Yeah. He had about...
You got his picture here?
I don't think so.
I got a picture of Conrad LaBelle.
Oh, yeah, a nice
Yep.
picture of him, too.
Yep.
He was about 19 years old, and he had 30-something cars on the road.
Oh my God.
Never got caught. Never.
Well, he'd lose one every once in a while. What he'd do, he'd take an old Model T Ford, he'd throw a case of beer in it, and he'd go, one of the boys go, ditch it. Call the officers up, you know, load of booze up there. When they're going down that road, he was going up the other road. It's like a funeral. You ought to have seen that.
Yeah, but they said 10, 12, 14 cars in a row coming through.
Yes. Just like a funeral.
So they would go through like abandoned spots or
No, right?
roads?
See, Champlain at the time, the border was not, the customs house was not on the border. It was down right across from Clark's Funeral Home in Champlain. The first brick building, and it was probably 50 to 100 feet as you come down Oak Street to the left. So they'd just come shooting down and go across, and they had no cars to chase them, and they had no radios to get a hold of the people. So unless they were waiting along the highway someplace, see, and then they would go the back roads, and Ed said he never drove with lights on. And there was some speculation they never had license plates. When you have you were already violating the law. I have a license plate, and if they got the car, they didn't know whose it was.
Yeah,
Sure.
my father was hooked up with the Motor Vehicle Bureau. They had one up there. And my father gave him $10 for every car he registered and a bottle of scotch. They pick up a name, somebody been dead for 40 years, 100 years.
See, false name.
False.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
God.
many times the car would be seized, it would be sold at an auction, and many times they would buy back their own
Oh,
car.
definitely. Yeah. If it was a good car, you bought it back.
Bought it back at at the auction that they had. And I have some pictures of those. I'll see you get a picture of some
The
of the
cars
old
were
ones.
like trucks those days. They were.
Mm-hmm.
I know we had I forget if it was a Packard. I think it was a Packard. Pete Cologne was driving that. And he was one hell of a driver, that Pete was. He lost control of it, and he clipped 3 telephone poles. And he drove over to Plattsburgh, and the only thing was he broke the headlight, bent the bumper, and the radio was leaking. Today that'd be up in the back seat.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that something?
No plastic in that car.
And it was loaded besides.
Amazing.
Okay, we'll take another short break. We're going to look around. We're going to move on to a different venue here and see what else we've got to see. But before we do that, what kind of groups can you cater to here instead of just the 1 or 2 guy walking in? Do you have parties here up in your restaurant bar?
In the restaurant?
Yeah?
Yeah. We're a typical restaurant bar in that, you know, our biggest nights are near the end of the week, and Friday and Saturday. We frequently do birthday-type parties. We have a conference room where we do weddings and meetings, and we'll cater to anybody's needs, and we'll do whatever anybody'd like us to do.
Okay, so you just contact here, and if when you come here, plan to spend some time in addition to what you're going to eat or drink. looking around at this great memorabilia. And if you're young, you'll see it for the first time, and if you're older, it'll bring back a lot of memories. And if you didn't have it, maybe your father did over the years. I was looking at the washboard up here, and a big jug up there, and we've got a big fire extinguisher, old, two-wheel bicycle over here with the big tires, balloon tires, just all kinds of things. And I'm really enjoying myself looking around. Even from this distance, I can't tell what all of them are, but it's really, really enjoying this. And I hope you are too. And every Sunday, you can see a program called What's Going On Here. All during the week, you can see the various things that Calvin and Sam bring to you. 3.5 hours, different show every day. Okay, we've come down into the restaurant section proper. And we're in an area, again, with a lot of pictures and movies in this area. It's the movie political area.
Yeah, this end we have a lot of pictures of some of the movie stars of the era. That section to Calvin's
Travel
left.
over there, the boats
Yeah,
and the
travel.
cars and the dirigibles.
Ocean liners were a very big thing, and we have some pictures of some of the ocean liners. And the other part has a lot of political things about elections during the
below
time.
there.
Yep.
So you don't have a section with local pictures of, you got a little bit there with Peru, you thought, right?
Yeah. There's a few scattered around, but we've really found them real hard to come by.
They are hard to come by, but they're out there.
Oh.
They're out there.
We'd gladly pay to have things reproduced if someone had something we could put on
I've got a few things
display.
that I could do something with you. I'll be
That'd
back.
be great.
I'll see you because I've got some pictures of old Champlain. There's a lot of old Rouse's Point. There's a lot of old pictures around. And, okay, well, listen, Terry is out of the building, you said. So we're going to miss Terry Muron, your partner,
Yes.
for the second time. He knew we were coming. Yeah, he must know. That's why he leaves.
Yeah, he knew late yesterday, but I don't know what other plans he had for the day.
He's busy, obviously.
Yes, he is.
And we thank you, Orville, for coming down with us again and adding your input here of authenticity to our talking about the bootleggers and that period of Prohibition. And we thank you very much also, Jim, and your other people we've talked to. Is it Franz?
Now look,
Yeah.
I'll let you have 2 of my tapes, and then I'll get one from him, but I'll have to charge you for what he
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
So we'll be going on from here. We hope you enjoyed this little tour back into nostalgia, down into the 20s. And you can do the same thing here at Bootleggers, next to the part of the Comfort Inn complex here on Cornelia Street, just under the Thruway.
One guy you're going to laugh at this.
See you next Sunday. You people that watch our show know that I don't make mistakes too often. Well, we made a mistake a couple of minutes ago when I said Terry Muron was not here, because lo and behold, this is Terry Muron. Hi, Terry.
How you doing?
Good. Tell us a little bit about Terry Muron. Where were you born in Plattsburgh? Who your parents were, and so forth?
Oh, I was born in Plattsburgh more years ago than I want to admit.
Yes.
And my father is Loyal Miron. He worked at Diamond International for many years. And my mother is Leona Miron, and she worked for St. Peter's Cafeteria for many years.
You're an entrepreneur. You've been in quite a few things in the city, real estate, development, and so forth.
I guess.
Are you an attorney also?
Yes, I don't practice anymore. I'm not actively in the
Seems
practice.
to me I'd heard that you have. Right? So you built the Comfort Inn as such with your partner, Jim Murray.
Right.
You said you were friends way back. Are you still friends today after being in business for a few years together?
Oh, sure.
You still are? That's all right. You still.
Yeah, actually, Jimmy and I were pushed around in baby carriages together.
You were. Huh?
Our parents were good friends, and
That's great. That's great that you do have this camaraderie.
he's actually got a scar on his finger that was caused by his hand meeting my teeth, too.
Is that right? Was he trying to hit you, or just?
No, he was
trying to hit you, and you bit him, huh?
The Mirons that had the bar
Yes.
are a distant relative.
Okay,
but Gracie's a real good friend. She's a real nice person.
The husband, they lived in Champlain for a while. My wife used to babysit for the Mirons.
Okay.
They lived in Champlain. That's the one that had lived in Champlain. All right, now, you built the Comfort Inn when, the two of you here?
1988.
88. Then you added Maxwell's later, or was that part of the original building?
Maxwell's was actually originally a Sunoco station. And that wall right there was the back wall of the Sunoco station. So when we started out with Mamma Mia's originally, and then it went to Christopher's, and when we attached the Comfort Inn, it was still Christopher's, and we updated the concept with Maxwell's, and then we came up with this idea, which is something we've been researching for quite a while.
This is great. This is great.
Yeah.
The items you have in here just intrigue me, absolutely. Now, I have a problem. I can talk, but I have a problem that I can't visualize anything until I see it. Do you have that gift that you can visualize before it's up so that you could picture this before it was ready? Can you do that?
No.
That's very tough then. Did you do things, then take it down and start over on certain corners?
No, really what happens is if you try and accumulate a team that has some talent. I'm very research oriented, so from a planning of the business concept, I studied a lot of the components here for probably 6 years. The first Fun Expo that they ever had in this country was in 1990. That was on indoor entertainment centers. I attended that. So all this stuff has been brewing for a long time. And
I like your choice of words there, brewing. That's very, you're even advertising when you're talking. Go ahead.
But so the business concept is something that I worked on for a long time mentally. But then you try and get other talented people, like John McKenna's our architect. He's able really to take something and visualize it, and it's something that I don't have a talent to do, but he can. And then we used a guy named Alex Rada, and Alex is really has quite a bit of talent in himself, and he's the one that actually collected all these artifacts. And he comes up with some pretty unique ideas sometimes.
Sure does. And France's idea with the cars is great.
Oh, France, yeah.
That's great. Now, have you ever used that ski machine down there?
Sure have.
Are you any good on that?
No.
I was terrible. I hit the wall so many times, I'll tell you. I thought I was going to be knocked out.
Yeah. That's part of the new virtual reality. It falls within that category, as does the golf simulator we have.
We didn't get to see that. That wasn't turned on, so maybe we'll hit that another trip. You expect the Bootleggers have been going good for you?
It's been going very good.
Well received, huh? And you got the whole family here now. The kids can come and enjoy themselves and the birthday party.
Part of my strong belief is that Plattsburgh is a great community, but it really needs more. If you want to attract a larger tourist base, you need more man-made tourist amenities. We have a beautiful environment, Lake Champlain, the Adirondacks, but we really need to create more man-made entertainment components. You know, one of the ones that we're going to work on next is a miniature golf course, and it's going to be in the back. And
on the complex?
On the complex, in the back. We're already moving dirt. And we're going to theme that into a historic theme with the Battle of Alcor, the Battle of Plattsburgh, and other major historical events. Because it's always amazing to me how areas like down south with their battlefields, and they attract all kinds of tourism. And we have one of the most significant military battles that occurred in the Revolutionary War, the Battle of Alcor, that is prominently displayed in the Smithsonian in Washington. It takes up a whole large room, and yet it's one of our best kept secrets.
Yep, exactly.
Well, we're going to have a little island out there in the miniature golf course. That's going to be Valcour Island, and we're going to try and...
It's going to be outdoors?
It's going to be outdoors.
Do you know how old miniature golf is?
It's over 50 years old.
Oh, it sure is. They made a miniature golf course in Shays East. Jenny Dodds and another lady back in the 1920s. She started a miniature golf course, and then they went one in Rouse's Point indoor. They had a very small one upstairs over the old A&P. I was reading that in the old North Countryman. So it's a fad. Then it came back big in the 40s. Then it went down. Then it's come back again now, you know. It's a great thing. You're going to be...
No, you're right. When I said 50 years old, I knew it was in the 20s.
Big in the 40s. You realize that 20s are a lot longer. You're getting old. Wait till you get my age and our age. You're going to see how fast time flies.
It's been going by fast already, I'll tell you.
Terry, we appreciate your talking to us. We certainly want to meet the other half of this duo here. And I'm glad he didn't break your teeth when you hurt his hand there. That time he was
I hurt him more than he hurt me.
You did, yeah? Were you a better student than him in school?
I don't want to...
You don't want to mention that, huh? Listen, it's a pleasure to meet you, and good luck with your enterprise here. And I know everything else has been going very well for you, and your uniqueness here is very good, and you've covered the whole family. You don't just come here and get a sandwich or a meal or a drink. There's a lot of other things to do. You've covered everything.
Thank you very much.
Thanks much, Terry Miron. And the other partner right here, with name again?
Jim Murray.
Jim Murray, yes. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for watching Hometown Cable. We're on every Sunday with the program called What's Going On Here, where we interview, meet people, take tours, and every day of the week Calvin has meetings, sports events, everything happening in the North Country that we think you should see. He tries to be there. He can't do it without your help. Become a patron to Hometown Cable. Send him $12 once or more times if you want a year. Do it 2 or 3 times. $12, send him more. Tell him that you like what he's doing and you'd like to become a part of it because he can't do it by himself.